Hey guys, welcome. Happy Monday. I'm here. I got my coffee. Cheers. All right, we are going to get started. I know a lot of you show up. You want to get the information. You want to get going. So let's do that. All right. So today we are actually going to talk about inflammation as it relates to everything but food. Okay. We have talked about how to eat to reduce inflammation. What are the things that you can do to reduce inflammation? Some of them you're going to see or you're going to hear about today again. There are things that we've talked about in the past that we're going to continue to talk about because they just work so well. There are scientific studies upon scientific studies that talk about our psychology and how impactful our psychology is to inflammation. Now, for those of you who don't fully understand inflammation, we are not talking about you broke your bone and everything inflames. Yes, that is one element of inflammation, but there's a whole other element. When we talk about inflammation, all we're talking about is your body's attempt to heal something it feels is harmed or injured or unhealthy, unbalanced in some way, shape, or form. Psychology, human psychology, actually plays a tremendous effect in how balanced our brain believes our body and the health of ourselves are. Okay? There are studies, I'm actually looking at one right now. Let's look and see what year this is from. Because there's 50 million of them. If you go to Google, 50 million of them, 2018. So on this study, it talks about inflammation and psychiatric disorders, okay? Which comes first, inflammation or the psychiatric disorder? It's kind of like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? There isn't a real answer. There are just as many studies that show that inflammation triggers mood disorders, mental health illnesses, things like that, as there are mental health illnesses causing inflammation. One goes hand in hand with the other. So when we talk about inflammation as it relates to everything but food, we need to address that. If you're here listening and you have a mental illness of any kind where you are medicated, some conditions need medication to control them and to manage them. In that essence, your prescription medications and your protocol are helping your body and your brain reduce that inflammation so that you can better manage and restore balance. But if you notice, in some of those pills and some of the prescriptions will cause you to gain weight. It's almost it's like the worst side effect because you don't have control over that. So could you use the things that we're going to talk about today as well as the other things we talked about in past episodes and will continue to talk about related to food? Absolutely. All that's going to do is make the quality of what your prescription medications and protocol is, it's just going to up the quality. And in some cases, could help you kind of dial back on some of those. It's happened. It's not unheard of, just saying. Now with this one, this actually talks about how intertwined mental illness and our psychology is to inflammation. Now, psychology and physiology, they are dramatically impacted by inflammation. It is just kind of the thing. This is the cycle that our body goes through. It's a health cycle. It is how we maintain homeostasis, how we maintain health, right? And the balance within our body that provides us the healthy being and creature that we are so that we can go out and live the life that we want to live, okay? Now, what does inflammation actually look like? Have you ever thought about it? Outside of gut health and, headaches and migraines and things like that, what does it look like? Because, just getting a broken bone or cutting yourself to the point that you need stitches, things like that. I mean, those are really easy to see the inflammation, right? It swells up, it's right there, it's in your face. But what if it's psychological? How do you know? So some of the first signs of inflammation Not related to food. That's, I'm not going to keep saying that. That is going to be less that hear that on the video. Then I annoy the crap out of me, which I know will annoy the crap out of you. Just know that everything we're talking about today, not related to food. We are putting food aside. We're keeping the food in the kitchen. Part of the reason we're in my office today and not inside my kitchen. All right, so what's it look like? All of a sudden you start getting tired where you're doing pretty well. I mean, granted, stress lifestyle, sometimes we're just exhausted. I mean, the boys have, for the most part, started sleeping through the night, but then we put the divider up and now they're not sleeping through the night, so now we're back to where we were, where one or both are waking up in the middle of the night. There's this development period. But for a good 2 weeks there, oh, it was nice. I got sleep. My husband got sleep. We were nice to each other without having to try. There was no crankiness. There was no grumpiness. Cranky, grumpy, depression. You can get very emotional and weepy and not really know why. You can't trigger or pinpoint the cause. It's just happening. You gain weight, you get bloated, you have a poofy face, right? I got allergies rocking right now. I got barely enough sleep last night. And I had ice cream last night. So, my face looks like a freaking poofy mess. It is what it is. I show up for real for you guys because I want you to see that these things are actual facts. These are life, or this is life. It's not perfect. Even professionals have issues with inflammation. Okay, dealing with this hypothyroid thing that I'm dealing with, I'm gonna get goofy. You're just gonna happen. So when we look at all of these things, and you're looking at your weight is going up, or it's stagnated, and you're trying to lose weight, but then this plateau, and your plateau is lasting more than 4 to 6 weeks. Hold on one sec, guys. Mandy just texted me. All right, so if you're on Facebook with Mandy and it's popping in and out, hold on, Mandy. I'm gonna put my computer on, and we'll just do a dual live. How about it? All right. So now you're looking at this. You're looking at your inflammation. You're looking at your weight gain. Your weight gain is not going anywhere, right? Not. Or it's going the wrong direction when you're busting butt to get it to go down. You can eat as healthy as you want. You can exercise as much as you want, but nothing's happening. That is an inflammatory marker, okay? That is an indication that you're dealing with something. And the 7 things that we're going to talk about today are going to help you. Connecting soon. All right, they're going to help you to just reduce, okay? Why? Let's see. I'm waiting for the comments to show up so I can get Mandy and you guys on here. It's basically going to be a dual Facebook Live, but Mandy, I will tag you. Let me. Okay. All right. So we are good. All right. So now these 7 things are going to help with psychology more so than physiology as it relates to what feeding yourself internally can do. Okay. So physiology and psychology as it relates to just physical needs, I guess is a good way to say that. Physical and psychological. All right. So now I need my notes so I can stay on track because I know ADHD is going to send me down some rabbit holes, especially today. All right, so there's this thing that I have mentioned multiple times, okay? I love mentioning this. And I know you're sitting there, you're like, all right, shut up, tell me what it is. It's called grounding or earthing. Have you heard of it? So here's what it is. Earthing is the belief that we have an electronic connection, okay, to the earth. That there's a vibration that happens when we connect to the earth, that there's this cycle within nature that we are a part of. But we become so disconnected from it that our health is now impacted and the health of our earth is now impacted. Okay? Nature needs us, we need it. There have been studies out there that show 30 minutes of earthing a day increases your health and well-being. Decreases inflammation, increases health and well-being because it produces this balance effect. And I'm always talking about homeostasis. That's always the goal. That should always be the goal. Because once you reach homeostasis, you reach balance within your body, and it looks different for all of us. Don't be fooled. Don't go out there and go running off to some place that tells you, oh, this is the only way to be, that everybody has to be like this. No. Everybody has a different homeostasis balance, okay? We are all different people. We have different backgrounds. We have different lives. You could be an identical twin. You still have different lives. You still have different thoughts, okay? You're very connected, don't get me wrong, but there is a difference. So now, when you're looking at grounding and you're looking at earthing, what that is actually going outside and putting your feet on the ground. Do you know that it has been proven in Brazil, I believe it's Brazil, either Brazil or Colombia, one of the two, I'd have to look that up, that allergies, seasonal and allergies related to anything outside, so trees, grasses, flowers, things like that, are helped and reduced, the impact on our body is reduced significantly by walking out onto the grass first thing in the morning when there's dew on the grass. Okay, so you actually get dew on your feet. And I know I hate the feeling. Of dew on my feet or wet grass, things like that. I cannot stand the feeling of it. But that feeling, that moment, significantly reduces the impact of allergies. Now, do I get my butt up and do that every morning? No. But I have alternatives. I have things that actually do drastically help my allergies. If you are fighting allergies or you're fighting a significant painful condition, something that is triggering a lot of inflammation, get your feet in the ground first thing in the morning. Okay? Get your feet in the ground throughout the day, because 30 minutes or more a day has been shown to dramatically reduce inflammation, which dramatically reduces pain, achy joints, skin irritations. It helps with sleep. It helps with rest. It's good things. Now, what happens if that's just kind of not really possible, or you have a sensory issue? Let's say you are sensory, and putting your feet in the ground, where I just go ick and I deal with it, it's psychologically, you just can't do it. There is an alternative. So there are shoes out there that are called earthing shoes, okay? And for those of you who are really curious, there's a book and there is a movie, and I believe the documentary is still on Netflix. It's either Netflix or it's Amazon. So if you can't find it on one of those two, let me know. It's really interesting. So anyway, back to the shoes. There are shoes that will help you with the grounding without you having to put your bare feet on the ground. And the reason, let's go with feet first. The reason our feet are so crucial in this grounding and this earthing is because it's a conduit, like the palms of our hands. They're conduits. Have you ever gone into a gym or doctor's office anywhere, and they have the metal things you either hold or you stand on, tells you the barometrics. It tells you your body fat level, how much water is in your body, things like that. Palms of our hands and the pads of our feet, okay? The skin here and the skin on the bottoms of our feet are the same. It's not like the skin here, it's not like the skin here, okay? The makeup of that is different. So you could put your hands in the ground. That works too. It's just realistically, as humans, we walk on our feet, so feet into the ground. Now with earthing shoes, they have a leather sole. So it's like moccasins, basically. Leather soles, moccasins, which are uber comfortable. So comfy, so comfy. You know, Brian will put shoes on the boys, and we had them out this weekend out in the yard. And he's like, you have shoes on the boys? No, I'm going to have to clean them when they come inside anyway. Why am I going to put shoes on them? You know, they need the chance to walk around outside in bare feet. Everybody will be healthier for it. And I know I'm harping on this, but this is one thing that you can do if you are in pain, still don't know what's happening, if you still are just fighting for answers. Go snag a chair, put your feet on the ground. You don't have to stand. Just put your feet on the ground and sit there. Give yourself 30 minutes, an hour a day. Just sit there. It's not going to give you the same immediate result as here's this pill, take it, and be done. But for some of you with autoimmune conditions, that hasn't happened anyway. This will start giving you relief almost immediately. Scientific studies show this is like an almost immediate result. Okay? Realistically, you want to give it a good week or so before you really truly feel results, mostly because we doubt ourselves all the time. Our brain, our protective mama up here, doesn't want to listen. She sees memories, she doesn't see reality. So it takes a minute for you to catch up. Usually that's between 3 to 7 days. So you're dealing with a very painful condition, nothing is helping, go stick your feet in the ground. That is the one thing you can do that does not take much effort. It can literally let you sit there, and then that leads us into our next category, meditation and breathing exercises. Do you know that 5 minutes a day resets your neural connections? It's like a on-off switch. Shuts them off for a minute. Our taco lady's back. The horn's going to blow in a minute. Hold on. Talking about meditation and quiet breathing. And we're going to have like a blaster horn. Oh my goodness. Okay, so meditation is 5 minutes. It really does reset those neural pathways. Breathing, combined with meditation, improves the quality of that response. Right? So effectively breathing exercises, things like, you know, breathe in for a count of 10, breathe out for a count of 10. One of the things that I used to do with clients at the beginning of our routines and then at the very end of our training session is breathing exercises where you breathe in 1, breathe out 1, breathe in 2, breathe out 2, breathe in 3, breathe out 3. If you're like me, and meditation is just, you know, sitting there for a minute, let alone 5 is challenging, try that. Because it can literally take you at least 2 to 3 minutes to go up, and then you're going to have to back down. So you go all the way up to 10, and then you go all the way from 10 to 1. Okay? Then you're done, and you move on. You can use apps, the Calm app, Headstrong, or Headspace, not Headstrong, Headspace. There's actually a couple of others. I know that you can go to YouTube So we use the Mashi app for the boys for them to fall asleep. We used it when they were younger to keep them asleep throughout the day. We are currently using it to keep them to sleep asleep during nap time, as well as sleeping overnight, just because there's so much noise still happening with the construction around us. But it's a meditation app for babies, okay, and for toddlers and for kids. If you have kids, find it. If you are a teacher, you get it for free. Take advantage of it. It's really helpful. I actually had a friend in my car when the boys, I think they were 8 or 9 months. Kim, you're gonna have to remind me. But they were 8 or 9 months, and I was playing Mashi so I could keep them calm, because for whatever reason they decided that they're just gonna have a little shit fit in the car every time we get in, even though we went in the car a lot. And she's sitting in the passenger seat. This is the best meditation app. It sends you out. I don't care what you use. Heavy metal might be yours then. I know it's Ryan's. You put Tool on, and I'm like, get me away. I don't want to screaming. Him? It sends him out. If that's what sends you out, use it. Give yourself a good 5 minutes of breathing. It will relax everything within your brain. Oops. Off, back on, reset, move about your day. Okay? All right, so now, what about exercise and movement? 20 minutes, guys. I used to think it was only 10 or 15, and there's benefits even if it's just 5. There really are. Okay, and it's just movement. You can dance in your chair. I'm a good chair dancer. I dance in my car all the time. When I was working in corporate office, people would find me dancing in my office, in my chair, because I had to work. So, and some of you are the same. It's not like you can just get up and go and do 5 minutes, but you can do 5 minutes in a chair. You don't need to be up and moving. You can do it right here. That 20 minutes. So here's why I say 20 minutes. There's a 2017 study that proves that our inflammatory blood markers, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget what it actually was. But the inflammatory blood markers, specifically within your circulatory system, what that means, not that you're not fighting whatever's going on, it means that the signals to your brain to tell your brain we're hurting, we need help, are reduced in situations where that's not the case. And here's the thing about exercise and movement. If you have consistent movement for more than 10 to 15 minutes, your body releases endorphins. Endorphins are basically what I call happy genes. They make us happy. They trigger happiness. It sounds really like la-di-da Disney-ish, right? But it's true. Endorphins trigger positivity within our system. Internally, it triggers positivity. Okay? It relaxes your brain. It tells your brain that everything is cool. Chill. Chill, dude. We got this. That's what it's telling your brain. Okay? With 20 minutes of activity, you can significantly reduce any pain and aches that you're feeling. You can improve your sleep dramatically. I have had clients go from getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep to 6 to 7 simply by purposefully moving 10 to 20 minutes a day. That's it. And usually when I would start with someone who was morbidly obese, who had years, whose doctor basically said, you need to do this or else, done, we would just start with 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes to that person's body felt amazing. Was it hard to consistently create that habit? Absolutely. Any new habit you put in, your body's going to challenge it because it doesn't like change. Our brain likes to be comfy. But once it figures out that that new thing is actually helping it and reducing the amount of work it physically has to do, it it's perfectly happy and it's going to go along with you, but you got to get there first, and that takes a couple weeks. So the exercise, you could exercise 20 minutes every single day and consistently reduce those blood markers. And over time of doing these things, and I'm not done here, but over time of doing these things, even without making any dietary changes, you're going to significantly reduce inflammation. What happens when you form any of these and you are consistent about it over time, then your body starts craving the nutrients that it needs to fuel all those healthy, happy processes. First, that's kind of the purpose of this. Food first. All right, so now you've got the exercise down, you've got meditation, you're grounding and earthing yourself every day. What else? Gratitude, positivity. What you focus on grows. Truly what it actually is what we focus on, our brain starts looking for. So there's this thing that went out on TikTok, and it's actually really interesting because in my sister's world, she sees hearts everywhere, all over the place. Okay? They pop up in our everyday life. And there's a TikTok going around that you look for hearts. You will see hearts in your world somewhere every single day. So pick something. Pick something that signifies happiness, to joy, a feeling, an emoticon, a shape, and start looking for it every day. Look for stars. The boys are all about stars. Like they're saying stars, they're saying circles, and now guess what I'm seeing all over the place? Stars and circles. So with gratitude, what you focus on grows, right? So you're looking for the positive in your world, whether it's a shape, an emoticon, things like that. Here's a way to almost guarantee that you're going to shift your focus from negative to positive. Okay, so where you wake up and naturally you would start having negative thoughts, especially if you're fighting certain mental illnesses, they kind of lend themselves to a lot of negative self-talk, frustration with yourself, frustration with life, things like that. It lends itself to that. So a really good way to just sort of guarantee that you're going to focus on positivity, things like a gratitude journal. That doesn't mean you have to buy a book and write it in a book. You have your phone. You can record it. I highly recommend writing it down because humans are visual creatures. So you see it, you read it, you write it. Okay, all three things. So when you're studying for tests, so like the SAT and the bar exam and things of that nature, they tell you, see it, read it, write it, say it. You know how you learn. As adults, we have gotten to this point where we're like, yes, we absorb this one, right? If you take 2 minutes every night and just write something positive about you and your day, it can be as simple as, I got out of bed today. It can be that simple. In my Facebook community and inside the Nudge community, what we do is we actually have a Wednesday that is Wednesday, W-I-N-S. Okay? We focus on a win every single week. Every single week. And it's not every single day like I'm recommending, but if you're trying to reduce inflammation, you want to do as much as you can to reduce it, correct? Especially if you're struggling and you're like, life is a struggle. I don't like it. I'm not, this isn't living. Those thoughts are rolling through your mind. This is one of those things you can do. It's just really simple. With your phone, do an audio journal, right? You don't have to actually physically type it in. You could just pull up your keyboard, hit the microphone, record it, and you're done. 1 or 2 sentences a day. That's all you need. And over time, what happens, okay, if you consistently focus on these one or two things every single day that are positive, that are uplifting, that are loving to yourself, you will drastically reduce your inflammation. Because what you're now focusing on is happy. Your brain equates happy to healthy. In your subconscious, happy and healthy are the same thing. Nature. You ever seen a happy lion attack somebody? I've seen a hungry one. And when you're hungry, you're not happy. You're missing something. All right. So now with the gratitude practice, I actually found a study for you guys, and I completely forgot to look down. UCLA had a study in 2018, 6 weeks, 76 participants, and I mean there's a multitude of other studies. So if you've done any research, you know that 76 is actually a very small number. Okay? But it was one that I found that actually identified a specific percentage and biomarkers. Okay, they determined that there was a 23% reduction in overall inflammation over 5 biomarkers: your blood and your lymphatic system, and your emotions, physiological, all from gratitude practice. They were not allowed to change anything else in their world. The only thing they were allowed to change over 6 weeks was every single day a 5-minute gratitude practice of some sort. It wasn't even a gratitude journal, it was just a gratitude practice. That could be you talking to somebody else, you know, expressing it to someone else, having an accountability partner for that. That works too. All right. So now that leads us to one of my favorite things. Now, this is not my term. This term was created by Mama Gina. And for those of you who do not know who Mama Gina is, she is an author. She created the I call it the Women's Uplifting Center, but that's not what it's called. I'll put it in the notes so that you can see who she is. She is very controversial, so for some women and for some people, she's just not their thing. It's fine. But there is this one activity she recommends, and she calls it swamping. Here's what swamping is. As women, we don't, majority of us, we don't necessarily like to talk about emotions. We don't want to bother people with our emotions. We don't want to be a burden, right? We want to appear strong. We don't want to vomit everything all over somebody else, right? Vomit our feelings, vomit all this trauma and stress and blah, 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 all over somebody else. It's a thing. Majority of us do feel this way, okay? What swamping is literally taking yourself into a swamp. You find a place, you find music, quiet, whatever you need to help you let it out. Whether you're screaming into a pillow, you're pounding on a couch, you're not allowed to hurt yourself. You are crying uncontrollably, you're laughing uncontrollably. It's your moment to strategically let everything you're feeling go. And the reason she recommends this is psychologically, you guys, if you do not do this, if you don't strategically plan out when you are going to release all your emotions, all your trauma, whatever you're feeling, because you know that feeling. It just feels like it's turning up and up and up, and it's building and it's building, and you just can't get a break, right? All you want is just a break. Just give me a 5-minute break. Like, no more hits. Done. It's all you want, right? That feeling. If you do not strategically plan out time to allow your brain its time, its moment to just release, let everything out, let everything go, let it into the universe, and let Mother Nature take care of it. Because let me tell you, she will, okay? Does not mean the stressful situation's over, does not mean the trauma is over, it simply means you are releasing that which does not serve you any longer. Because all it's doing is weighing you down, it's causing you heartache and pain and stress, and those things create inflammatory situations. Chronic inflammation leads to chronic illness. Once you reach chronic illness, autoimmune dysfunction, it is very hard to revert back. Is it possible? Yes. But in most cases, it takes a lot of work, time, and consistency. So rather than getting to that point, you start doing things like this to release trauma when it feels like it's overwhelming and it's a burden, okay? If you have this practice, I know some women have this practice. There's one chick, and if anybody would like to join her, she does this on Wednesdays, once a month. She puts the music together. She'll, she finds some crazy stuff, and you're just like, oh my God, that's my heart. And I'm happy to share her information. So if you want that, let me know. I will happily share with you. She does this on a consistent basis because for her mental health and well-being, it helps her. It helps her maintain balance and health. And for her, that release it's therapeutic. And for some of us, it is. Just to give you another example, the reason I used to recommend this, but I never had a word for it. So Mama Gina calling it swamping is just too perfect. It is her term. She coined it, and she is spot on with this, because when you're in the middle of it, when you're in the throes of it, that's what it feels like. It feels like you went down to some Louisiana swamp and you just started throwing stuff at some alligators. And then you hit a point where you're like, I'm going to wrestle damn alligators. And I'm a city girl. I don't know how to wrestle alligators, so that would be a little dangerous for me. But that being said, if you're gonna let it out, and I'm telling you, you have no choice. You have no idea how many people I have worked with as a trainer, and I can usually see it coming, see it weeks in the making. If you talk to any other trainers, you talk to any other health coaches, the greater you heal, like the more you heal, as we see you healing yourself, your body heals everything, right? It goes in the circle until the very last thing is trauma. You can't fully heal until your trauma is addressed. And for some, it's minor trauma. For some, it's more serious, okay? So you cannot fully restore balance until you deal with trauma. Doesn't mean you heal from it completely. It just means you address it. You no longer ignore it. You have no idea how many people I have worked out with, that I have trained, that have reached this point where the only thing left to address is this hidden trauma. Most times we haven't even talked about it, but I see it. I see it coming. I see it in the people I talk to today. Even if I never see your face, I see it. And then what happens is, here we are on the floor, doing leg presses, push-ups, stretching at the end of a workout, and it just flows. For some people, it's happened in the middle of freaking Target or the grocery store. All of a sudden, there's a trigger, and your brain has decided enough's enough, can't handle anymore, and it just lets it go. It just full on lets it go. If you ever see anybody in a store or out in public doing this, go up to them and ask them if they would like a hug. Because the person-to-person energy vibration exchange actually helps. It helps relieve. And I know we're post-COVID, I know all that, but seriously, you guys, that has not changed. The person-to-person interaction, our need to be near other people because of vibrations and energy and connections hasn't changed. So if you ever see someone doing this, it's because they push themselves so far for so long that their brain got tired of waiting for them to look at it. And to address the elephant in the room, and in this case, the elephant is up inside the brain, right? This is their room. All right, that's a lot, huh? Swamping and gratitude and meditation, they're a lot. But their impact on the growth or reduction of inflammation is pretty significant. So even if you and I are working on dietary issues and looking at different food situations and trying to adjust and make healthier choices from your diet perspective, we still deal with our mindset, with our psychology, our emotions, our mental well-being, our mental health, because it's all connected. If you haven't listened, 7 pillars, all 7 pillars are connected. They all need to be in balance for a well-balanced static body. Okay? Otherwise, you're dealing with these different elements. You're dealing with inflammation of some sort, right? It's just a trigger. It's harm, or what your brain sees as harm in some way, shape, or form, right? That's what inflammation is. All right, so now that leaves us 2 more. We have grounding and earthing, meditation, exercise, gratitude, swamping, sleep and rest. Our bodies heal when we sleep, okay? Now, there's some of you out there with chronic fatigue and fibro who are going to hear that and just be like, you're funny. And I'm spot on with this. Sleep is when we heal. There are autoimmune conditions, chronic illnesses, where sleep and rest truly evade you. Whatever you can do to get sleep and rest, please do so. Studies have shown that more than 6 hours of rest a night reduces your blood pressure the way it should and relaxes your blood vessels. What that means is the circulatory flow of nutrients around our body to provide healing elements and messages. Your body's not working as hard. Okay? It's why everyone says you have to sleep to heal. Now, for some of us, we can operate on 5 to 6 hours. Does that mean we can heal in 6 hours? You tell me. There are studies that have shown that, 4 to 6 hours is healthy. There are studies that have shown that all of us sleep differently. Like maybe you only sleep 4 to 6 hours at night, but you take a nap in the afternoon. I suck at naps. I need to get my sleep at night, otherwise I don't get it. Because, and I will tell you, I think the only time in my life I ever truly napped was when I was pregnant and the first 4 months of the boy's life. And not including NICU. I did not sleep when Keegan was in NICU, when Drew was in NICU. I did not sleep. I did not. I was either at the hospital or I was at one show. And this all leads us to final stress management. And when I say stress management, yes, everything else we talked about today, the other 6 elements, do help you with stress management. However, what I mean by this is There are activities that we each gravitate toward that help us feel sane, feel stable, feel balanced. They restore, they bring us back to center. Is a better way to say that. I was going to say restore grounding, but that's too many groundings in my in my words. But they bring us back to center. Okay. For some of us, it's playing music. For others, it's drawing. For some, it's writing. Some it's taking a walk. Some it's taking a kickboxing class, strength training, shopping. Whatever that is, go through a little self-discovery if you don't know what it is. There is something that we all gravitate back to, and it's different for all of us. Whatever that something is, that's what you want to do as your stress management. It's really dry in here. I'm wondering if something's going through a lot of dust outside. My brain, my lungs, hate dust. All right, so with your stress management, doing something that is helping you gravitate back to center doesn't mean you have to do it every single day. I found that between 3 to 5 times a week, in most cases, is pretty effective. It has helped a lot of people heal just doing that, okay? Obviously, exercise, if that is your thing, it covers 2 categories. But, like I said, when I talk stress management, when I'm talking about this category, I'm talking about the thing that creates a centered feeling, a balanced feeling for you. You've had a shit day, you come home, you do this thing, it feels okay now. Your day feels fine. If you don't know what it is, start exploring. Just do different things. Figure out what you like. And then do it again. And yes. So there are your 7. Grounding and earthing, meditation, exercise, gratitude, swamping, sleep and rest, and stress management. Inflammation management, reducing it, creating a healthier, more balanced diet doesn't necessarily have to start with food. It can start with one of these 7. There are actually more and multiple other ways that you could reduce it. And you're out and you're operating during your day. Pay attention. Maybe there is something that you do that gives you just a little bit of, oh, and what's that feeling? That feeling right there, doing that more often will actually help you reduce your inflammation. You reduce inflammation, you have more energy, feel like you have more energy, and don't hurt as much. You just don't. So take a minute this week, figure out what your thing is. Try all 7 if you want, but figure it out. Because this truly is like the chicken and the egg. Whether you address inflammation from a physiological and physical standpoint, or you address it from an internal dietary standpoint, still addressing inflammation, one will automatically lead to the other. It doesn't matter which way you go. So if you are sitting here listening to me and you are in a lot of pain, try one of these. Let this lead you to that. Okay? Don't get so caught up in I have to do this. Pick one thing that you like, pick one thing that you gravitate to. Do that thing over and over and over and over again. Relax, enjoy. Let your subconscious do what it does best when you do that. Let it lead you back to not going to happen overnight, but pick something that you can be consistent with that truly connects with you and with what you feel is healthy, what you feel is homeostasis, and what you feel is great for grounding yourself, bringing you back to center, and bringing you back in balance. And all of a sudden, all that pain, all that bloating, all the swelling, the weight, all those side effects, all the inflammatory triggers starts disappearing. I'm telling you guys, it's like a magic trick. That's what I'm going to leave you with. Need some help figuring out what that thing is? Let me know. Hop into the group. Join us there. Have a discussion. There's people talking all the time. Sharing recipes. Sharing stories. You can share a win on Wednesday. Get your gratitude in. All right, you guys. That's everything I have for you today. I hope that was helpful. Just in case, if you're listening to this and this really attracted you, something you enjoy hearing, next slides, after YouTube uploads everything, we'll have some videos and a playlist for you to join next. Have a wonderful Monday. Let me know if you have questions. I'll chat with you guys later. Bye.